Hi friends, and welcome back to Lemon Tree Corner. If you don't know me, my name is Heather, and here at Lemon Tree Corner we do crafty things like crocheting and sewing, and we also take a look behind the scenes of my sewing studio where I make bags and purses. And this week we are doing a new bag in the Year of Bags. So here's our new bag. This week we will be making the Olive Vanity bag from Swoon. It's a very cute pattern, usually, you know, their patterns are very vintage, so it's like that. I have made this pattern before and gave it a C+, as you will notice, so why are we making this bag again? We are making it again because I have a lot more experience since I made this the first time, and I also found a hack, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the first version of the bag I made. It's kind of like a travel toiletry bag, and it has a handle and a zip compartment where you would put all your stuff. But as you can see, this doesn't open all the way, so it's kind of like, you know, you can't really open it, flip it open like on a hinge and see all your stuff inside. So that's the main problem I have with this bag. But I did find a tutorial on YouTube that does this as a wide hack, which means they extend the zipper panel all the way back to the back here so that this whole thing can open up and stay open. So if you have it on a sink or a nightstand, you can open the whole thing up. So that would make it a better pattern for me. I also only put one zipper pull, and I think it would be better to have two and open them each to a side. It is also one of the first times I used piping. So you see we have piping all the way around both sides of the bag. We also have a piping detail here. I made my own piping for this, and it's a little wonky and chunky and just doesn't really have the look that I want. So this time we are going to try pre-made piping. So this is Wright's bias tape maxi piping. It's 0.5, so it's a ½ inch wide. And this cording that's inside of it is a lot skinnier and a lot nicer put together than the one I made myself. So this is what we're going to try putting in this bag. So hopefully that will look a lot cleaner. I also have piping feet for my machine so that I can use that for a cleaner look. It sews it really close to that edge of the cording. You can use a zipper foot also and get pretty close. But yeah, I wanted to get very close, so I bought some piping feet. So that's what I will focus on this week, showing you how we use the piping in the bag. These are our two fabrics. So we've got this really pretty kind of modern flower, and then a nice sunny stripe for the inside. So I think those will be very cute together. We will also be working on the remainder of our pencil pouches. I've got most of them cut out now, so I'm just going to keep sewing those in the background. But I'll probably show you the ones that we finish with at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And we also have to start piecing our granny square blanket together. So here are the granny squares I've done. I've filled up this whole board, so we need to start sewing these together and start assembling the blanket so that I have room to put more granny squares. And this week we have a cup of coffee sponsor. So thank you very much to our sponsor this week, Kelly. When she put her message, she just put a little heart. So thank you, Kelly. I will enjoy my fancy coffee. If you would like to support my channel, the best way to do that is to either buy something in the shop, or you can buy me a coffee, a yard of fabric, some yarn, whatever you want. I'll put the address here below, and I'll also put it in the description. But it's coffee.com and then /lemon-tree-corner, and you can just donate whatever you feel like. And if you make a donation, I would be happy to give you a shout out in the next video. So thank you very much, Kelly. This is one of my favorite teacups, actually. It's Anthropologie, so super cute. I can't fit into any of the clothes at Anthropologie, but you know, kitchenware is one size fits all, so I like buying cute kitchenware there. Okay, so it's time to take this pattern from a C+ to an A. Let's go. So I forgot to tell you guys that a couple weeks ago, I got a text from the long arm quilter that she's putting it on She's putting it on the long arm quilt machine. Yay! So my my Hawaiian quilt that we made together is being long arm quilted right now. So that's cool. I haven't heard from her since that initial like, hey, I'm starting. So here we have, the parcel came already from the zipper place. That was very, very fast. It's super heavy because I ordered all of the hardware in addition to the zippers. Oh, but they must have packed this like the same day because I got it in 2 days, which is crazy. Okay, yay! So my Handmade Space, I love them. I usually just wait and save up and do a lot at once. So we've got a million zippers here. I also ordered a pattern and some fabric. Of course, I couldn't resist. They had some fabric on clearance, so I just got some fabric while I was there. So one of the things I got was a pattern by Emmeline Bags for a crossbody bag. I don't have a lot of true crossbody bags. This even looks more like an 80s purse, but what size is it? So the size is 11 by 7 by 3. So it just kind of looks like an old school, you know, like 80s purse with the flap and the twist lock. Now that we know how to do twist locks, I figured I would give this one a go. So just gonna do a little haul for you. And I just pretty much ordered all the zippers that I know I like and that I'm gonna need again. So we got this one. Oh, this is interesting. They didn't come in little bags this time. I do save all of my plastic bags of everything I've ever gotten, so I do have some of the bags from the previous zippers. Well, I guess that's a good thing because then I don't have as many plastic things going on here. So it's probably a good thing that we didn't get all of those. So we've got lots of colors here, my usual zippers that I like that I was running low on. Didn't think I was going to use red as often as I use it, but I do. So I got the regular red and then the red with the silver. And then I just got a variety of pulls. Obviously these red pulls go with the red one. Same here with the green, go with the green, but everything else has the metallic zipper. So I just got a variety of things. I love the hearts. The hearts are probably my favorite pull. So I got more of those. Although they changed the name on the website and I couldn't tell which one was the real heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all of the silver hardware, you know, all the metal hardware, and keep that separate. We got these cool ones. I got a bunch more regular ones because I basically just used up all of my regular pulls. And we got, this one is a new one to me. Let's see if I can get it to focus. It's a little nested hearts. So I thought that would be cute. And these ones are new. Just kind of a longer teardrop pull, which I thought was interesting. So that just gives like a nice chunky handle. So I got those in the silver and in the gold because I got the pale pink with the gold. What else did I get here? Regular pulls in silver, and then another one of those teardrops. I really like that one. I needed some regular pulls in the rainbow, so we got that. And I got some regular pulls in the antique bronze. So just a nice collection here, and I guess I can store them like this. I don't know why I feel like storing them in the plastic is somehow better. They're all in a drawer, so it's not like they don't really need to be in plastic. And then I got some more of our 1/2 inch hardware we were talking about. I got some rainbow, the antique, a lot of the silver and the gold. Oh, I thought I got 3 of these. I only got 1 of those. That's interesting. I thought I had gotten a lot more of these. That's okay. This should get us through what we need for the Maya wristlets. The shipping was pretty high. I think their shipping has gone up. It was like 25 bucks. So I just went back and I like added more stuff because they have tons of fabric on their site now. So I got more of the Rifle Paper Company fabric. I love this fabric. I made a bag out of it. I love it. Or maybe I haven't made the bag yet. So I just got half yard pieces of everything. And these ones are canvas. A lot of the times the Rifle Paper Company cotton is out, but they have the canvas. So I just got a bunch of these Rifle paper cottons and canvases. And then this one was pretty. I really like this one with the hummingbirds. Now you know me, I like to pick out the lining and the outside fabric at the same time, but the way they have this set up, they don't really go together. So it's kind of just the things they have left. So I just grabbed them. I'll have to find fabrics that go with them. This is a pretty Lori Holt one, very farmhouse. So I like that one. Yeah, so just some pretty fabrics. Figure I'm making all these wristlets. The half yard looked really good. I think I got, did I get 2 yards of this or 1 yard of this? Can't remember. So that looks like a bigger piece. And then they had more of the Tulip Pink that goes with this. And I was like, oh, I need more of that because I ran out. So I figured since I was ordering, I would go ahead and order that one at the same time. So yay, a nice little haul for us. And I know I wasn't supposed to buy any more fabric until I've used some up because I've got a ton of fabric. But making all these new patterns just really brought to mind, you know, the type of fabric that I would want to have. So, and I forgot to show you that I got a knockoff Fitbit. So I'm tracking my steps. I just watched a video recently that talked about how 7,500 steps is really the ideal for all the health benefits that you want. So it counts your steps, how many miles you've gone, how many calories you've burned. You can do your temperature, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your blood oxygen. You can track a walk or a run or all these different things, and then it links with your phone so that it gives you a record of everything. So I know I have a step counter on my phone, but I don't carry my phone all the time. Like when I'm walking around work and everything, I don't necessarily have it on me. And when I'm walking around the house, I got 5,500 steps yesterday just from working on projects and walking around the house and doing my laundry and things like that. So yeah, it's been really nice to just verify that I do actually get a lot of steps in, even when I think I don't, because I haven't really been tracking them. So that's fun. I don't know how clear that was in the intro, my explanation for the hinged lid, but I have made this train case that I use as a toiletries bag, and it has a hinged lid. So you see how this whole thing, it goes all the way back here past these corners so that the entire thing can lay open. So that's kind of what we're going for here. In this case is that we want to extend the panels so that they go all the way to the back like this, so that the zipper is longer. So that's the concept that we're trying to achieve. So I'll link the video down below. I'll link the original video and the modified video. So basically what she does for the modification is she tells us how long the zipper should be, because that's going to be a way longer zipper. We're not going to put the piping on the edge. So on the bottom part here, it had the pipe, oh, here on the side. On the side, it has the piping. We're not going to be doing that any longer. And then we basically have to extend the top panels. So this is the zipper would be between these two. We have to extend these to 26.5 inches long. So I did that. And then we have to take the bottom panel, and instead of cutting it on the fold, we're just going to cut it between these two lines. So it's going to be like a square. So that's going to make our little wraparound channel, and then the zipper is going to be longer. So that's how we have to modify our pattern pieces. So you'll see I just printed it the width of the paper, which was well, 11 in this case, the length of the paper. So I just got rid of cutting off the sides here and made it long, and then I printed a third pattern piece and just added it on here till we got to the right length. So I did that for both of these pieces, and then I have it folded here. I have it here so that I can fold it over, because I was thinking I would keep the original pattern, but I don't think I'm going to keep the original pattern pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it here at this size, because I think if I was going to make this pattern, I would be making the modified version of the pattern anyway. I don't really think that I'm interested in making the pattern the way it was in the original. So either I like the way the modified pattern works and we go with it, or I don't like it and it just doesn't go in the product line. The problem, the other note that I have, is that it's a drop-in lining. So what we do is we sew the whole bag together, sew the zipper, and then we sew the lining together, we shove it in here, and then basically the whole lining is separate. So you shove it in there, and then you have to try and stitch the zipper in. But when you get to this point, you can't really get the foot of your machine in here. So you either have to stitch it by hand on that part, or stitch it by hand. I mean, I guess that's the only option. So that's usually when I look at the Swoon patterns and I go, oh good, it's not a drop-in lining. That's what I'm talking about. So I forgot that this was a drop-in lining, which is another reason why I got a C+. So I don't think I can really alter that, just the way the pattern is. I can't really alter it. So I guess what we will focus on this week is we'll focus on how to sew the piping in, because that's a little trick down here. You gotta crisscross it so it's not super bulky, and so that your ends are hidden, you don't have any raw edges. And I guess I can show you how to do this pocket, is kind of interesting, and then the drop-in lining. So let's just focus on those things, try and keep it under 50 minutes this week, and let's get started. Okay, so we've got all our pieces cut, our foam on, we've put a little cut in here to make a hinge so that when the bag flaps open, we have a little hinge. And this one's a little tricky because you really have to pay attention. You've got 3 lining panels and 1 exterior, because once we sew this pocket, it's going to go on like this. So we've got a lining piece and an exterior. We fused some craft fuse onto the exterior piece, since it's not going to have foam, because this is the piece that has foam. So we are going to sew this at 1/4 inch, which looks difficult because it's such a big curve, but really we're just going to take the time when we flip it over to really push through that curve, make sure the points are out and everything, and then it's pretty easy from there. So let's go ahead and sew this. The other thing we're going to do to help this curve move around better is we are going to make little clips into it all the way around. It just so happened that the way I cut the decor fuse isn't quite to the edge here, which is actually a good thing for me. So we're just going to make these little clips. It's such a tight curve, we want to make sure you can turn this out and give it some space so it can separate. and go around the curve. I'm finding it difficult right now to resign myself to the fact that my videos have just become about the bags, and it doesn't feel like a vlog anymore like I used to take you on dog walks and stuff like that. So I'm trying to reconcile all of that, because I feel like I spend so much time on the bag that you're really not, I really don't have space or time in the actual video to take you with me on any adventures. So let me know your thoughts. Is that something you'd like me to just do some more moments of Zen? Because I haven't done one of those in a while. I don't know if you guys have seen the moments of Zen. I could do the dog walks like that and stuff like that. I've got the Yarny update. Maybe I just do a separate video of like stuff I'm doing around town that's more of a vlog style. And I do one of those a month just to kind of keep you updated on life. I feel like I really got to focus on that during Vlogmas, but you really don't get to see any of that. Not that I've got a lot going on outside of my house, but I do have some going on. So maybe I should just make a once a month video in addition to the Yarny updates that has like me about town. Like my husband and I went on a beautiful walk yesterday at the canals at Naples, and I did some footage that I'd like to share with you. So we'll figure out a way to make that happen. I'm having trouble here getting this lining fabric all the way under. I don't think it matters that much because the lining fabric goes so well with the exterior fabric that I'm just going to try and force it under. But you'll see how that was a lot easier than we thought it was going to be, right? So I'll take this to the iron and sew it, and then we're going to go back and top stitch on that. And you'll see the decor fuse. I'm going to have to press that again. It looks like it's not sticking all the way here. It's got some bubbling, so we will iron this again. And because we went yesterday, I'm going to be behind all week, but that's okay because it was a really pretty day yesterday. We went on a walk into lunch, and then it decided to spontaneously sprinkle today. So I'm glad we took advantage of the weather. Okay, so we just cut off our tails up there, and now we are going to baste it to this piece. So we're just going to line up, and we're going to baste it all the way along at 1/8 of an inch. And then we have our front pocket. So pretty easy to do, actually. Not as difficult as it looks. And there we have our pocket. Now comes the really weird part of this whole thing. Okay, so we've got our zipper panels. We've got our zipper panels here, so this is what it's going to look like. Because we're doing the drop-in lining and the zipper's like a weird way of doing it, what we're going to do is we're going to sew these panels together. But what we're going to do is we're just going to lock them in at the end here with a regular stitch length for 1/2 inch. And then this whole middle part is going to be a really wide basting stitch, like 5 millimeters. And what we're going to do after we stitch it is we're going to seam rip that whole basting part open so that we can get our zipper laid in here. So it's gonna, our zipper's gonna lay in here like that. Just a very unique way of doing this whole process. So I'll show you this. Okay, I'm gonna let this go right now because I am not at 1 inch. You see how I keep veering here? This is not good. My stitching is all over the place. So I'm gonna go back and redo it. We were right up against it and then we lost it, so I'm just gonna keep it where I had it, which is right up against it. Now remember, we're gonna rip all these stitches out. So Swoon is like really weird when it comes to this stuff with the drop-in lining, because we're not sewing the lining to the zipper. until the very end. So this is how we get away with that. And then once we get back to our line here, we're going to go back to 2.5 and back stitch. And that's it. So we've got our line here. Gonna get our seam ripper, and then we're basically going to take this whole thing and rip this out. So we got a nice little system going there. Just want to stretch the fabric so don't catch the fabric in our ripping here. And then we're going to rip all the way to that stitching that we had. I'm going to do the same thing all the way to the other side. Just going to rip all those stitches. And of course now we're going to have a mess on our hands, so we're going to have to go and get all these little pieces of thread out. And then I'm just going to go through and pull out all these little threads. So that's kind of the annoying part, is all these little threads all over the place. Oh, you know what I just remembered? I'm supposed to put this zipper in first and sew the zipper down before I do this step. So that's not good. I totally forgot. I'm supposed to sew the zipper in first, which keeps this all together before I do this. Okay, I think it's still salvageable. We can still make it work. I'm going to go press these under. And since I already seam ripped it open, I think our best bet is going to be to use the Wonder Tape like we did last week, just to make sure this stays in place. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that. I'm just going to put it at various points along the way. So this is the problem we're going to have, is it's supposed to be right up against the teeth. And the other side, I didn't do that. So we're going to have to pull this off and do it again right against the teeth. Okay, so it might have been for the best, because if we had done it their way, this whole zipper would be covered and then we wouldn't get to see our pretty zipper. So I also remember the first time I made this that it was really hard to try and get the zipper to stay in that space because it was sewed shut. So maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. We'll call it my subconscious helping me out. So we're just going to cut off the extra piece of zipper there, and then you want us to make the handle first. So I'll come back to you when we're ready to put the piping on and show you what that looks like. It's time to put our piping on, and what we're looking at here is an overlap at the bottom. So we kind of crisscross at the bottom. We're going to do our two outer pieces here, and our piping is going to go towards the edge, towards the middle. So we have our regular edge here. And get this wrapped around. I'm going to use as many pins as it takes, as many clips as it takes to get around these curves. Really, it's just these bottom curves are the only problematic parts here. And we can do what we always do on curves. We can clip into them if we need, So we're just gonna do this, and I will meet you at the end.
The day that you came, you were so little.
Okay, what we're gonna do at the end here is we're gonna have a bit of an overlap. And we're gonna cut that off. I'm gonna take this one out of the mix, clip this one down, and then we're gonna angle it. So this one's gonna go this way off the edge of the map, and this one is gonna go this way off the edge of the map. So we just have this little bit of crisscross. And then we'll do the same on the other side. I'm hoping I have enough piping for this. I think I only bought one package.
What's the worst thing that could happen if you tried? Well, you might fall. But then...
Okay, so our question now is, which piping foot fits the piping the best? So we basically want the piping to fit right in the channel of the foot. This one looks a little bit too skinny. Got this one, looks perfect. Okay, so we'll do that. I think I remember having a problem with the piping feet last time I tried this. I think the needle didn't go perfectly in, because these aren't Juki feet. These are like non-Juki feet. So the problem here is that the needle scrapes the edge there, which is gonna break the, and I can't really, I can kind of not tighten it all the way, but then it's not gonna stay on. So I'm kind of screwed with my aftermarket feet unless I want to put them in a vise and try and bend them a little bit, which sucks because that's really the right foot for us. The other thing we can do is try our zipper foot. And get our zipper foot back out here. Do I have another one? I've got another one that's much wider than our piping, but if it fits correctly, maybe we should use that one, because then at least we've got a channel for the piping to go through. No, that's even worse. That's even more off center. Okay, so let's use our zipper foot, and we can pretty much butt the zipper foot right up against the piping. Okay, and then we're just gonna butt it right up against there. The only problem with this basting, this piping, is that it's got the stitches, if you can see right there. The stitching that's already part of it. And I'm not going to be able to get that close here with my foot. So that's the only problem we're going to have, is that stitching, which really isn't even as clean a stitching as I would like, is possibly going to be showing once we sew the bag together. And when we sew the bag together, we're going to try and get as close to that as possible. But once again, I'm going to be using the same zipper foot, so I don't know how close I'm really going to be able to get it.
You might learn to fly.
And then once we get to this overlap, what we're going to do is we're going to stitch over both pieces, stitch over the cord on the one piece, trying to keep it all in place, and then meet back up with our original. And we're done. And we can cut this extra part off as well. And this is the only difficult part. We have to make sure that our little crease here is lined up with these correctly. Now I've made my panel a little bit larger because of the way I just sewed that together, so that's on me. I'm going to cut this extra off so that it's not in the seam allowance. That one's pretty good. All this mess here. Okay, so once again, so we're going to line these up. I'm going to line this crease up with the zipper. And then this is a little bit further off. Let me cut this off. This is throwing me off. Okay. Third time's the charm. Okay. And then we're just going to sew this to both ends so that we have one big circle.
You're a lonely sailor, and your soul is made of wind and rain, doubts and blame.
Oh, we did it right. She's telling us that the one with the pocket needs to be on the shorter end here. So I was just reading through that to make sure I wasn't missing anything important.
I'm a weary pirate, and my heart is made of dust.
Maybe the lady's measurements were wrong. Maybe the lady who made the modified one gave us the wrong measurements. Because this is way bigger than this. I mean, look at this panel. I feel like our bottom panel is not big enough. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have to adjust this bottom panel because this is not wide enough for this. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the video. Okay, so I have a feeling either our bottom panel is wrong or she's wrong in the video. Either way, I'm gonna have to go back and probably redo this bottom piece. I really don't want to take the piping off of here, so I think we have to experiment and just redo this bottom panel piece to fit, and hopefully it will still be enough of a, and then I have to redo the lining piece as well, that's the bottom panel. So I'm gonna rewatch that video, make sure I didn't just get the measurements wrong, but I'm gonna have to look at the comments on her video too, because somebody might have already commented about the fact that the measurement was wrong. The other thing we can do is put the main panel on this gusset and then see how much room we have left or how much room we need. That might be another good way.
Spoiled champagne. I've got troubles, I've got sins. I'm my worst enemy, but I've still got a lot to give. So I said,
so I'm gonna mark where this ends, and then we would also have to add on a 1/4 or 1/2 inch seam allowance if we were gonna play it this way, and then measure between those two, but obviously there's a curve, so can't just straight up measure it. We'll probably need the measuring tape. So it looks like about 7 1/4. Be 7 1/4 plus, do we want to do 1/2 inch seam allowance or 1/4 inch? I guess we'd be doing 1/4 inch. So we're going to add a 1/4 inch for each side. We're going to get 7.75. And my pattern piece is only 6. So I think that's the deal there. Let's watch the video and just make sure I'm not messing anything up here. Okay, so she does have me cutting this piece as a square like it is right now at 6 by 6. We're gonna go ahead and try this and see if it works. I've got fabric, so it's not really that big of a deal. So I'll print a new version of this and cut it down. Okay, so that's the problem with getting a modified pattern off YouTube. It's not necessarily the most reliable thing, and you gotta take it with a grain of salt and not just say, oh, this random person on YouTube that I have never watched before just gave me the exact measurements I need for a pattern that I'm making. You know, I mean, I don't even know if this modification was approved by Swoon. They obviously didn't release a pattern with this modification, so this is all just, you know, bootleg measurements here. I think based on what I've already made, because I'm not going to make the whole zipper panel again, it's going to be easier for me to change the bottom piece here than it would be to change the zipper panel at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up. And do it that way. The only way to do this is to cut out the fabric. I won't cut out the lining fabric yet. I'll make sure this works first before I do that. But basically we're gonna have to cut the fabric out, cut the foam out, do this whole piece over again in the larger size. Yay, so that worked out for us. So now it fits perfectly with the main panel. So very happy about that. I'm going to go ahead and sew this just directly over that line we just did, because that's how we know where the piping is. So I'm going to switch to my zipper foot, and we're going to sew right along that same line of stitching. And then before we sew the other one, we're going to have to open up the zipper a bit so that we don't paint ourselves into a corner, sew ourselves into no openings. So I'm gonna go do that. Oh, I'm so happy about that. I was very worried for a minute there. So if you're gonna make this modified version, don't go with her measurements. So this bottom piece is 7.75 by 6. Yeah, that's much better. So I'm gonna have to recut the lining piece as well to fit. Another thing that Swoon is having us do is do a stiff interfacing down here. So that same interfacing that I used on the pocket, what do we use, Craft Fuse or Decor Bond, they want us to use on the whole lining. I'm not sure about that. I did check my other version, my original version, and I did do that. And it's probably a good idea, because once we do the drop-in lining here, you'll see that there's really nothing holding it into place except for where we sew the zipper, which means these corners aren't going to have any sort of oomph to them. So it might be a good idea to just go ahead and do that with these. I don't have enough Craft Fuse left. I pretty much just have, this is all the Craft Fuse I have left. But yeah, I do have Decor Bond, so we might go ahead and do that for this. It seems like overkill for the lining, but I do know from experience that putting the drop-in lining needs a little more stability to hold its shape, especially with this big curve we've got going on here. That there's nothing, unless we like manually get out a needle and thread and like hand tack the lining to the exterior fabric in the end when it's all sewn. So I don't like the idea of that. So we'll go ahead and we'll bulk up the lining pieces, because we have to recut the other piece anyway. Okay, so once we have that first side sewn on, we are going to want to check our piping. So we're just going to kind of poke this out here, right sides out, just to make sure the piping looks the way we want it to look. This is our chance to fix it. You don't get another chance to fix it later, so we just want to double check that that looks good. The piping all looks good. I obviously have my stitching in here, which means that when I sewed the piping on, I really should have used the darker color like they said. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to see the stitching against the actual piping, but I did not think that through to the fact that once I sewed on this end, that those stitches might be visible. So they are kind of visible. So next time you sew it on, pick a color, pick a thread color that matches the piping, not the bag. So that's our moral of the story there. So we have our pocket piece next to the short edge. I'm going to turn this back over, inside out, so we can sew the other side. We're also going to open our zipper at this point, just so that we are not in trouble later. Just going to open it a little bit so that I can get in there, and then we're going to do the other side. We're going to do that weird zipper thing all over again on the gusset, and you know, do the basting and cut through that. Now we're just going to cut through that and sew the sides down so that when we go to drop this in, you'll see how that all comes together. So just going to do all of this, and I will meet you back again when we're ready to do the drop-in lining. Okay, so like I talked about for the lining side, we just sewed it the same way for the zipper panel that we did with the other one, and we're going to open it up just like we did with the other one, what I wasn't supposed to do with the other one. This is the one that you open up without attaching the zipper. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this whole lining, and then at the end we're going to drop it in. So we basically have the zipper panel ready to go for when we drop it in, and then this is the last thing we do is we actually sew the zipper in at the very, very end. So this is what this looks like. Okay, so now we have our exterior, our lining. I just trimmed down the seam allowance because it was like 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. That's a lot of bulk, so I don't want any of that bulk. So I just trimmed that down. Now we get to line up our large side with our large side. And just kind of pop that in there, and our small side with our small side. I can tell you already, this is way easier because we have this wider zipper. This was really hard to do in the original pattern. So the problem that I usually come up against is right here in the corner. We're basically going to pin this and stitch all along the same line of stitching that we did to combine all three of these layers together. But as we get down here in the corner, we're going to have this issue. I can't get all the way in there. It's really tight. Maybe with the way we just did this, it will work out better, and I'll be able to get in there. The other problem is that since we did the lining tighter, I've got this little bit of space here that's not covered up with the zipper, but I think we'll be okay. So I am just going to start here at the crease, and we're going to do this all around. Now the thing with this is you just want to kind of get it lined up with the exterior. So you see how much of the teeth are showing. You want the same amount of the teeth showing on the other side, so you can just kind of feel that. So far this one has been a lot easier. I'm not sure how this part's going to turn out. This will be the deciding factor for me. But Yeah, not sure how I'm gonna get this in the sewing machine either. So normally with a drop-in lining, you've got this little space to drop it in and sew. So this is already looking a lot more convenient than the first one that I did.
Come and run away with me. Hey, won't you come and say by chance, don't you want me? A man who fully understands a sailor's heart, a sailor's heart.
Well, that was an adventure. Okay. I still don't like drop-in linings. Okay, so basically what I did was I tried to turn the bag inside out in order to have it go around the machine easier, or have the machine go around it easier. So now it is completely wrinkled and crinkled. I tried to sew over my original stitches, but I think I just might have mucked that up. So the whole thing just looks awful right now. So I'm gonna have to like press the heck out of this thing. And then I was able to get in here way tighter than I was with the original bag, but it's still kind of a mess on the ends here because it's just so tight. So let's see if we can zip it. Okay, so it zips without getting caught in the lining, so that's good. At least the lining is separate there. And yeah, and this just kind of got all wonky as I was sewing it as well, which is interesting because I usually have that problem with a gusset on the exterior, not the interior. So yeah, I don't think, I mean, the hack helped a little bit with the overall sewing and everything, but I don't think it helped that much. So we pretty much are going from, where's my pen? Okay, we're going from a C plus to probably just a C. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I definitely wouldn't want to make this on a regular basis. So at least the wide hack is a little bit better than the original, but I'm just, you know, there's a reason I like making project bags. The piping, the interfacing for this was like coming off as I was trying to sew it, so it didn't adhere very well. In the hack video, she also makes a little pocket for up here, like a mesh pocket. I don't have any mesh right now, so I didn't add that, but I can see how that would be a really nice addition to this, to put stuff in. So overall, I mean, it's a nice vanity bag. I have another more complicated vanity bag pattern, but yeah, I just don't think that's gonna work. I think the train case works better, even though the train case is hard to do. I still think the train case is easier than this, and it just seems more practical, and it doesn't have the piping. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. I kind of had a rough week of it. I kept swearing the whole time I was making this, and I don't think the pattern was particularly challenging. I don't know if it was just my frame of mind or the weather or what's going on, but yeah, I mean, every once in a while it's just a struggle to continue going, but you just keep going. Just keep swimming, 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 and get through the whole thing. So that's where I'm at with that. Definitely looking forward to doing some of the pencil pouches now that this is done. That seems like a nice, easier break for me than working on this. So I'll see you back here in a minute. Hey folks, so that's it for this week. We have finished our Olive Vanity bag. It's very cute. I love this fabric, but unfortunately, as you heard me earlier, it's just still a really difficult pattern to make. So that's where we're at. I upgraded it, or actually I downgraded it from a C plus to a C. So it kind of went downhill. The wide hack makes it look better and work better. Obviously, when you can open it all the way up, it's a lot more useful. I feel like this portion of it isn't tall enough for bottles, so that's kind of annoying. And as hard as it is to make the train case that I was talking about earlier, it's actually easier than this. So I think I would make the train case going forward if I needed a cosmetic bag or a travel bag. Yeah, this drop-in lining, even with this large of an opening, was really tight to try and get in here and get that sewn. And then the piping just adds an extra element of difficulty that I just don't want to deal with. So that's where we're at with that. If you want to attempt making it and you want to attempt piping, or just you're good at piping and you know that, then I would go ahead and try it. And it is super cute. And I'm sure if I was to put this away for 6 months and come back and look at it, I wouldn't see any of the mistakes I currently see. So that's kind of the joy of sewing, is that you have that option. You can put it away, put it in a timeout, bring it back out, and generally, if enough time has gone by, you really don't even see those things that were bothering you so much when you made it. So that's a possibility. It could possibly be a present for somebody. Yeah, and I can't seem to get this wrinkle out no matter how much I iron it, so that's kind of annoying me as well. But it is what it is. I wanted to show you the scarves that we made. I don't think I ever really showed you. So here is the red one. It's a really cool pattern, and I like the way that the colors pooled, which is very cool. So it's just a nice scarf all around, kind of warm, not too warm. And then this is the one that I made with the bird straight yarn. You see, I held 2 colors together. So for each section, I held different 2 colors together because I only had 3 colors. So it kind of makes this very interesting 3-stripe thing. But the main stripe is around the neck, and then each section has a separate color. So that was kind of interesting. Don't know that I would do it again. And unfortunately, because it was raining and I wore this, my umbrella tines kept getting stuck and pulling threads. So that was kind of annoying. So anyway, I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead, and hope that you join me next week for the next bag that we're doing, which is going to be brand new to me. So no more chickening out and doing something I've done before. We're going to do a brand new bag next week. I would like to thank you for joining me this week. As always, I love it when you come and spend time with me. And special thank you to Kelly for the coffee of the week. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to go treat myself to a fancy coffee on you. Love you. Bye.